As said yesterday, I will start with ROFL against Maximus. ROFL being a team composed with Leif, Ericson, Offwo, Faradol and Rhapsody, while everybody already knows Maximus. And people knowing me know how much I love Maximus. It's one of my favorite AI. I love its team play especially, and I'm keep being surprised each time I see this AI playing. So let's see what's going to happen against Leif Ericson's team, ROFL. So here we go. Just decreasing the volume of the music. I guess the sound should be fine now. So hello Arandi, you're welcome. So as usual, the first game is going to be 1v1. Leif Erikson playing Vikings only, and Maximus playing a bunch of civilizations, his main civ being Aztec. So let's start it. And okay, so I think everything is fine. Okay, so as the blue player we've got Leif Erikson. Pretty decent map. Both of the players do have the stone quite exposed, but the rest is really fine. We've got large forest. The gold is in the back. So thanks to Leif Erikson, the scripter, we've got a new version of a pretty old AI. I think that Leif Erikson AI is like 10 years old, and we had a small update this week, which is pretty cool from Leif. And Maximus was made in 2000 if I'm right, so it does have 22 years old. It's probably older than some of the scripters. Well, Arandi, honestly, concerning Leif, I don't know much. I guess that it probably goes for archers. Maximus, I don't remember honestly. It used to play every Davis Cups. What I remember is in team games it does have great strategies based on the sling. But especially as Aztec 1v1 I don't remember. The last Davis Cup was 2 years ago. So, Leif Ericson did find red. I assume red did already find blue. Well, I maybe be wrong, but I think that Maximus can potentially go for eagles. And it's interesting to see that both of the AIs go for one lumber camp only, while most of the modern AIs prefer to go for two lumber camps. So it requires that the first lumber camp is in a good position. Okay, we've got eventually a second lumber camp, while Maximus is in feudal age. Okay, one barrack, well, two barracks, one market, one blacksmith. So yep, it will attempt a fast castle eagles. I was right eventually. That definitely could work against Leif Ericson, which will stay a while in feudal age. But Leif is training precious men at arms. Let's see if Maximus does have some rules to counter the units of the opponents. Already 3 barracks. Well, a fourth one. While Leif is delaying its assault, it gives time to Maximus to make a large army. And we've got already scale mail research by Maximus, while forging his research for Leif. Well, we can expect an attack from Maximus, which should come soon now, but Leif looks to be ready for this. At least it did see those many eagles. Okay, weird. Leif is sending its units one by one. At least we've got one explorer, but I don't know why there is another one which is coming, while the rest of the army is just camping home. Well, we've got 2 explorers Leif side. Well, we've got one stable. At least a few knights should help. While Leif just stopped training infantry. Okay, so here we go, Maximus side. We've got actually, wow, so many eagles. Look at these, 49 plus 2 rams. It looks unstoppable at this point. Okay, 2 handswordsmen for Leif, but it probably won't be enough. Skirms and Archer are quite useless. At least Leif does have a clear civilian population advantage. And we've got a second TC. It's smelling bad for Leif. And Maximus side, we've got a lot of idle TC, but it's really focused on the military anyway, and in this game it looks to work. So that's why we have a huge difference in the civilian population. Well, Leif managed to survive quite well, especially because it's eventually training 2 handswordsmen again. And Maximus is switching for men-at-arms. Well, overall I would say that Leif is doing a pretty decent defense. After the first assault, which was really impressive from Maximus, and now maybe Leif can take a real advantage from its civilian population. Almost 70 against 41, that's a huge difference. Interesting game. Hello Grasshopper, hello Kimberly. Well, I've got the feeling that Leif is gonna punish Maximus right now. At least the military population is almost the same. Leif does have the double the civilian population to Maximus, and at least it does have 2 men plus knights. So after this game we've got the 4v4 in which we will have Rhapsody, which will participate for its first time to the Davis Cup Series, AI made by Philosopher. We've got Offwo AI, which will team with Leif and Rhapsody, and we've got Faradol, which is another old AI made by Armelon, the author of Maya and Dedrick. So let's say that this team definitely can win against Maximus. But Maximus does have pretty decent strategies in 4v4. Okay, so really interesting game. Maximus looked to have a clear advantage in the early Castle Age, but Leif Ericson managed to defend pretty well and eventually is winning the match, or at least the game. So I'm gonna update the score. And here we go for the second match, the second game, sorry. I'm gonna share the statistic first. Yeah, when Leif reached Castle Age, look at so many military population did Maximus have. It was like 50 eagles ready to destroy the Leif Ericson's town. So let's say that Leif did have a really interesting defense. GG. Okay, so here we go. And let's have a look about the teal player, which is Rhapsody. So in that team, Rhapsody will play the 3v3 and 4v4, while Leif Ericson will play every games, and Offwo is the one chosen to play the 2v2, 3v3 and 4v4. Faradol will play the 4v4 only. Okay, so let's say that all looks fine for Rhapsody. At least it did have some idle TCs with one villager missing compared to the other players, but it looks okay anyway. So Maximus side, we've got Frankish flank, Viking pocket, Mayan pocket, and Aztec flank. Okay. So from what I remember, I think that the Mayan could potentially sling the Frankish player. Let's see. And it's going to be interesting to see Leif and Offwo playing as flank, because they are gonna play the 2v2. So let's see if they do well as flank, especially Offwo. We already know that Leif Ericson does play pretty well in the 1v1. Okay, I was scared because I noticed that Offwo took time to start researching Feudal Age. It's eventually the case. Rhapsody is meaning gold and stone. It's keeping its resources to go for fast castle, and we shall see a castle pretty soon. Okay, so red player is gonna sling yellow player. And it's interesting to see that Leif Ericson does already have some spearmen, maybe because it did see the stable. Hello Fireball. And Offwo goes for skirmishers, okay. And Faradol is just booming. It did build a market and blacksmith, and now it is building a new TC. Okay, we've got a monastery. Okay, so as I said before, Maximus does have great strategies in 4v4. The target seems to be green. Okay, we've got already Skull and Chain Barding research for yellow. And I'm scared that it will take time to obtain some help from Grey. Well, Grey goes for monks. Let's see the way it uses the monks. I hope that it will be more efficient than with Klamakaski. At least monks can definitely work against the knights. And we've got our castle from Rhapsody. Already a bunch of knights. 2 TCs. Everything is fine for Rhapsody at this point. Okay, so purple is setting a crazy amount of eagles, while red is keeping slinging yellow. I think that we can say bye-bye to Offwo. It's actually taken 1 versus 3. And unfortunately Grey is touched by the knights. Okay, we've got 3 knights converted, 4 now. And the new target is blue. Well, interesting to see that it does have a lot of pikemen, but oh my god, it's too many knights. coming on it. And the purple is now attacking the teal's castle. Rhapsody was fine with a third TC. Let's see if the knights will help. It should. Maybe forging could have been a good help, but well, anyway, under the TC, under the castle, nothing bad can happen to Rhapsody. Well, Offwo is eventually alive. Blue suffered a lot. And now the whole Maximus team is coming on Rhapsody. I think that Maximus just attacked regarding the score of its enemy. And I'm scared that Grey will remain all alone. Rhapsody is suffering a lot. Well, Rhapsody is alive. Faradol is eventually starting to attack. At least it is Imperial Age. Well, the game is maybe not over. Well, it seems over eventually, I would say. And poor Leif didn't survive. Offwo did build a second TC, but it's definitely not safe. At this point I think that Faradol definitely needs to kill someone. Regarding at the population, you would say that it's possible? And all alone it does have 116 military population. It's more than the whole enemies. So it's definitely the time to attack. Come on, Faradol. Oh, that's turning a lot of castles for Rhapsody. I definitely would like to see Offwo rebooming. Well, it is actually rebooming, but it needs to be faster than that. And Leif looks to be already dead. I don't see any TC. It does have 0 civilian population, so let's say that it's out, except if it goes for conversion with a monk. But it needs to be slung. Okay, so here we go. And Rhapsody is not too far from going Imperial Age. That definitely can be a condition to start attacking. I think that at this point Red is just wasting its resources, keeping slinging yellow. So we've got 5 castles, and we've got how many TCs? I would say 7 TCs for Teal. And Offwo is now 120 population. Okay, 73 villagers. I think that it won't be attacked anymore. So it's a comeback for Offwo. It shouldn't be too hard to survive from this assault from purple with those so many castles. Anyway, it does have already so many knights. And Rhapsody does have too much wood, which definitely should be sold for gold. Well, eventually we are close to 2-0 for ROFL. I just would like to see Rhapsody in action. Oh, that's bad. Rhapsody does have some idle villagers. 46. 46 idle villagers for Rhapsody. I don't know what is happening here. Look at this. Maybe it needs a new lumber camp, I don't know. Those idle villagers are maybe supposed to be lumberjacks. Okay, so we've got Offwo full population, but it's still in Castle Age, unfortunately. And Maximus looks to be strong again. Well, Wellborough is researched by Red, maybe a bit late I would say. At least when you sling, you need Wellborough quite fast. And at this point I definitely would like to see Red going to castle. So it's really a shame that Leif didn't manage to save at least one villager, because this game can be a pretty long game in which everything is possible. We saw this yesterday with a 3 hours game. Well, the situation is turning critical for Rhapsody. Actually, 75 idle villagers. I hope that it will build a new lumber camp soon now. I don't know what is the problem. Well, yellow is expanding, look at this TC. And this Slinger is eventually attacked by green. And I'm scared that Rhapsody will stay in Castle Age. Okay, I made it fast speed because I think that it's gonna be a pretty long game. Okay, so at least Faradol is doing the job. It killed red, it's actually attacking purple. And Offwo is eventually sending some supports. At least some coordination could help. And yellow almost stopped to play, despite the fact that it does have a lot of food and wood. Well, there is a potential TC which probably won't be built. It does have maybe... Okay, it does have one trade card, but it doesn't have villager anymore. That's why the TC won't be built. So yellow is technically dead. It's almost 2 versus 2. Faradol plus Offwo against purple and orange. Well, purple is dead anyway, so let's say that the game is over. There is a pretty easy fix to do for Rhapsody, because I'm pretty sure that it's related to the lumber camp. Yeah, the distance is the issue. Okay, so ROFL did it. Especially Faradol was the hero in this game. So unfortunately we won't have a 2v2, which could have been interesting with a team composed with Offwo and Leif against 2 Maximus. So keep in mind that Maximus is 22 years old, and it's a crazy AI when you consider how old it is. I'm gonna give it a end. Well, purple eventually resigned anyway. Leif never resigned, despite the fact that it's 0 population. Let's go for the statistic. Okay, 1 hour and 45 minutes this time.